Okay, literally no joke. I just I've been listening to that Let It Go song for the entire freaking week, and my God, this stuff is like just permeates your freaking psyche. Uh, uh, Hello, everybody. I'm back once again for another Christmas spoiler review, and a year ago I did a review of the first Frozen movie, and that would have been like my second time seeing that movie. The first time I watched Frozen was probably like a year prior to that was when I actually no, yeah, kind of. It was like it got to be at least a year, prior. I think maybe 2019, 2020, when I first watched the Frozen film on Disney Plus. And as soon as I heard it, my goodness, it's just the song. It's like I didn't understand people's like obsession with that song prior to that. It's like, why is it like, catchy to everybody? I was like, I don't get it. As soon as I heard it, I was like, I just kept humming it. It's like I singing it at work. I tell my friends, oh my God, I can't get this fucking song in my fucking head. I was like, oh my God. It's just like, and then it's like, it just, now it's like, okay, I watch this movie and it's like, it gets you in the mood to watch Frozen. And it's definitely like, a harbor. I argue it's like a harbinger of winter. It's like just, as soon as like it's officially winter or the first day of the snowfall, that's like you playing that song and like, there's memes and jokes with girls dressed like Elsa, and I remember there was like a meme or a gif or something like that a couple of years ago when it was like, the winter was dragging on in Chicago, and somebody posted a meme with some girl dressed in an Elsa costume getting arrested with a caption something about like attributing the crazy long winter when it's like getting into February and still like constantly snowing, and it's just like arresting Elsa because like, okay, you gotta chill with this, the cold. But I mean, this Frozen franchise, which I argue probably should have been like celebrating. If you want to celebrate 100 years of Disney, creating like a whole brand new character and story, an original. I don't want to say original. It's based off of some kind of uh, of like Ice Queen or something like that. It was some old tale written by the same guy who written the original story of The Little Mermaid. Forgot the guy's name. But they called it something else. But Disney turned did like a altered the story a little bit and renamed it to just be Frozen. And like, I think the first Frozen movie was definitely technically an original tale, even though it's based off like another story, like a book story. I still think it counts as original tale. And man, it should have just been like, like Wish is an original story. It didn't hit the same beat as Frozen did, because Frozen permeated the zeitgeist like rarely any other, where it's just like you got all the Elsa costumes and the plushies. Don't get me started on Olaf. Olaf is probably the one, basically Jar Jar all over again. I cannot stand that character. He's so lame. With the Elsa and Anna, it just and the kids soaking it all up, it just became like a whole other entity. And it happened in an organic way, well, mostly organic. you know, there did reach a peak where it seems like it's forcing Frozen down a lot of people's throats, but it's still, I still count it as a relatively organic, you know, a franchise woven into the zeitgeist in the proper way, rather than being forced, having like the general population forced to be involved. It's not like, unlike like Minions would be a good example. Minions, it seems like, is just like almost everywhere, and it's like nobody liked these things, but it seems like these like constantly just rolling those characters out when it comes to the Illumination people. Like they gotta be forced to be mascots, and it just seems like it didn't work for the most part. But then Frozen 2 came out in 2019. So like 6 years later after the first Frozen movie, which, yeah, they both make serious money. They both broached $1 billion. Although, this is me the first time watching Frozen 2. I never actually sat down to watch Frozen 2 until, when I do my review for this video. And in my opinion, the first Frozen movie is still better than this. This one, I'm amazed it even reached $1 billion. But then again, I think it's because knowing the children, families taking their children to go see this, so that kind of helped boost things. But also, is the way is like, the first Frozen film permeated the zeitgeist. Everybody's, the first Frozen film was like such an original tale. How they could continue on with the story, especially the first film is not just it being an original tale. They took, and this is the mark of great writers, and you take all those forced messaging, or like, just, certain ideologies out of the tale to try to force a particular narrative. You take that away and just concentrate on solely on making like a proper tale. It works. You know what I mean? It's like Bob Iger just did like a whole announcement about like concentrating more so on storytelling than a messaging. Now, not to say like, every story got to have a message, but you got like certain writers trying to force certain ideologies into your tales on like the backs of original established characters, i.e. Velma, then people gonna pick up on that, and it's gonna turn people off. And it's not to say that you can't have like a particular message, like some about I don't know, I would say like a woman, or taking like a story about like black people. Like Black Panther is a perfect example. You tell like a story about black people's struggles and everything like that, but while you're telling that story, don't make it like soapboxy, if that makes any sense. Whereas you don't want to be preached at. That's the thing. And that's been a problem with Disney in the past few years, whether it's Star Wars, Disney animation, or Marvel stuff. There's moments of preachiness here and there that you can probably notice. I think Wish being the more recent one, and it's just okay. It's all fine and dandy, but just don't front load it with that stuff, because it feels preachy. And it's like, okay, this is the old soul character is about like gay rights, and you gotta feed that narrative. That's all that character's arc is, or there's no layers to it. Or treating like a woman like, Rey, she's perfect. And no, not even Ray. I say live action Mulan. She's perfect in everything she does. She doesn't like make any mistakes, because you know, God forbid, like a woman makes a mistake and struggle and overcome anything to make us love that character even more. So it's like, that's why I so love the Elsa character, because she is like a prime example. I made a video about the hero's journey when it comes to female-led characters. It's not the same, because people like to think, oh, it's just because it's a female-led character, nobody will like it. It's like, yeah, sure, there's some idiots out there who, don't think like a female-led story is gonna be any good, because, whatever the case might be. But I push back a little bit, because we got a whole slew of, badass female heroines throughout the years, like Ripley from Aliens, or Sarah Connor, Wonder Woman. Yeah, they're all like great iconic characters. Elsa being one of them, Moana being another. The great female characters. But the thing is the preachiness is like, trying to, write. There was like something I just found out where there was like something was leaked about a writer who was some lady who was on video or audio, admitting that she was like behind Disney as one of the writers, was purposely, putting her own leftist agendas, like really leftist agendas, into the writing on purpose. And it's just like, you see, yeah, not to say that it's all of the writers or anything like that, but it's just that is the problem. It's like, when you tell a story, it's not a problem to tell like a story with a female-led character, but the female-led character has gotta be purposely written to be perfect. That's an issue. Then people gonna be turned off. Then you got people who dare to point that out being called misogynist, because they point out legitimately with no malice behind it, saying like, yo, this is an issue. I don't care for this, because why am I watching a character that isn't struggling or learning from any mistake or anything like that? Why am I following this character? Elsa is a good example of a great female led character. She is awesome. I love this character. She's greatly designed. Powers are amazing. She's pretty much like a mutant, but by all intents and purposes, which fits being Disney. But greatly voice acted. Her story is just just phenomenal. And she's not perfect. She fails. She falls. And like the whole Let It Go, that's the whole purpose of that song, is just like embracing who she is and not being, sheltered or, bottled up or caged like she's like a fragile thing. It's like, embracing who she is. That's the, I think that's why that song resonated so much, because that, because it's just like speaks to everybody who feels like not being themselves, and it's like, accept me for who I am, all my with all my imperfections and everything like that. This is how I read it. Yeah, I mean, but then I think that stands the reason why people are so excited to see this movie, because like, it's pretty much coasting on the brilliance of the first film. Oh, and also the first film kind of turned your typical storybook princess story on his head, with Anna pointing out like how, like, you can't fall in love with a person you just met, blah blah blah. I was like, yeah, you gotta point that out. And it's like a I argue in my review of the first Frozen film, it is one of those movies that didn't really need a villain, just like with like Moana. It is a great movie because it doesn't really have a villain. it's just like a coming of age story, or just like, you know, just like a journey of discovery or something like that. And Frozen franchise could just be that, just, you know, just going on adventures of discovery, and, you know, just coming of age kind of thing. So forcing the would be, you know, Prince Charming into a villain, he didn't really need it, but he didn't need him to be a villain. But you also, what they could have done, it's like drilled into their heads, like, you know, we don't really know anything about each other, and like there's certain things is about you and certain things about me that neither one of us really ultimately like, and then they part on good terms. That part been better, instead of just forcing some kind of evil bad guy for them to combat. But yeah, I think this film, which doesn't have a overall villain, which is good, but it's just like it's good, but not as good as the first one, in my opinion. And I'll get to the reason why in a minute. So anyway, the movie is directed by Chris Buck and Jennifer Lee. Kristen Bell stars as Anna. Idina Menzel as Elsa. Josh Gad as the crummy character Olaf. Jonathan Groff as Kristoff. So, and got Yvonne Rachel Wood as Unduna, Elsa and Anna's mother. Alfred Molina as Agnar, their father. So, the movie begins in kind of like a flashback with the young girls listen to the tale from their parents about how when the father was young, he was the, you know, young prince, and their father was making some kind of a peace treaty with the native people of like the neighboring people, North Oldra. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. It was like a neighboring kind of country, or just like a forest villagers not too far from Arendelle. And honestly, it's just pretty much doing the whole Native American colonization type of thing here. You know, let's be honest, it's kind of like obvious. So obvious it hurts. And so the king at that time, their grandfather, wanted to build this bridge in their lands, and under the guise of peace. But what he really intended to do, which we later find out, because, well, I'll bring it up later. So, to the father's point of view, all you notice where it's like a fight just all of a sudden just broke out, even though everybody seems to be kumbaya. Then, because the Northumbria people had a connection with like the elemental spirits, earth, fire, wind, water, you know, not heart, but we'll get to that in a moment. So a fog starts rolling in, and he was saved by a mysterious figure, which turned out to be the mother, and made their escape before everybody else seems to be lost within the fog. And he became, including the father. So that's where the prince was crowned king of Arendelle. Then now into the present, Elsa is queen, and I'm gonna bring this up right here and now. the mom was doing like a song with little girls to get them to fall asleep. Then literally now a minute later, here comes Anna singing a song, which, I mean, the songs are great. At least, well, like Anna and Elsa's songs are great, and they're always the ones that's like the better ones. Everything else seems, you know, I don't want to say pointless, but I don't really, you know, nobody really cares. Nobody really wants to like hum it as much as Let It Go. But then again, in the first film, only Let It Go, in my opinion, was only the good song. But pretty much Anna's song, just like everything's always well, everything's fun, and you know, everything's just perfect. Everything's like happy and go lucky and it's quirky and things like that. Oh, and I also want to bring up while talking about Frozen, speaking of quirky, you know, when Disney always wanted to break out of that whole cliche of the old Disney princesses of back of yesteryear, whether Snow White and Beauty, you know, those figures back in the day, and have like you know, Disney princesses of now that's you know, not all, you know, perfect, soft, I say perfect, but you know what I mean. It's like the more soft-spoken, you know, like of the old Disney princesses were soft-spoken and like singing songs and you know, animals clamoring to them, and you know, they got short little, you know, stories and everything like that. They're, you know, glamorous, usually lily white, you know, princesses. Now we got, you know, quirky, you know, wide-eyed, curious type of, you know, characters, Disney princesses. Now we reach to a certain point where it's not even you know, unique anymore. Because honestly, if you look at somebody like Mirabelle, Anna, you know, that new girl from Wish, I don't even know her freaking name, didn't even watch that movie, didn't really care for it. Didn't even care to even go see it, because like I knew it was gonna be terrible. Or even like Moana, it's like you line those girls all up. Aside from Elsa, those other girls, besides their race, how can you differentiate between them? They all pretty much behave the same way. So it's not even like a niche thing anymore. Or it's just now they become a cliche. And it's like wide-eyed, quirky girls. And it's like who mess things up, but they mean well. And it's like, okay, now you gotta switch things up. Something like Elsa, you need to like make her a new standard now, where she's, you know, she messes up too, but she's, you know, got a good head on her shoulders. She means well. She's a little more stern. Tone down the quirkiness, because now, you know, that is just, you know, it just seems like, okay, you're playing to the same tropes now. Now it's not unique anymore, in my opinion. They need to kind of reevaluate the blueprint of a Disney princess moving forward, in my opinion. Anyway, the songs, I think in this movie they need to definitely tone down the songs. If they make another one, which I think they've been like a rumor that they want to make a live action Frozen movie, and this a live action remake of the first Frozen movie, and it's like, oh my god, I freaking hate it. And I know like Bob Iger is doing some kind of reassessment of Disney right now and pulling back, and hopefully they scrap that idea, because that's so stupid. You know, I already didn't care for Disney live action remakes as it is, but it's what makes it even worse if you start doing live action remakes of movies that isn't that old. But like the first Frozen movie was what, 10 years, like a little over 10 years old now, no, exactly 10 years old at this point. And it's not, yeah, you can say it's nostalgic now. It's been like a decade, but you know, if you're doing like a live action remake of Sleeping Beauty, you understand to a certain level, because the original Sleeping Beauty was, or even Beauty and the Beast was way back in like the, I don't know, like 50s. Maybe, what was the original Sleeping Beauty? Yeah, 1959, Sleeping Beauty. So yeah, certain movies was like, you know, late 50s, get into the 60s. So yeah, sure, you can make the argument with that. Even hell, you know, remakes something from like the 80s and 90s, you can argue is acceptable, because you know, there's been 30 to 40 years difference between when you know, the first one came out up until this point, so you can make the argument. But nothing 10 years old, that is still too recent. We still have fresh fond memories of it. Anyway, so things going well with the, you know, kingdom and everything, with Elsa's leading the being queen, leading everything. But then she starts hearing this, you know, melody, or something's calling to her, and the melody, it, you know, it's just like, I'm doing it poorly, but if you know what I'm talking about, I was not too long ago, I was rewatching Nightmare Before Christmas, and like when I was watching this film, it's like, wait a minute, isn't that the same tone coming from Nightmare Before Christmas, and you literally reusing it? Sure, y'all all Disney, but still, so you know, use some level of, you know, original notes to get that same haunting type of melody. I was like, wow, y'all just ripping off your own stuff now at this point. So she's concerned, like something's calling to her, is, you know, it lingers in her mind. But then Anna's getting concerned when she knows something's obviously wrong with her sister. Kristoff, who's, you know, I feel bad for Kristoff, because he was like a pretty decent character in the first movie. Now he's kind of relegated to the, I don't even know what he's even doing here at all, because you're not giving him nothing to do outside of, I'm trying to come up with an idea of how to propose to Anna, instead of just doing it and get it out the way. Because it's like, you know, you don't need to give him any type of arc, you know, beyond. Here's what I would have done: have him right from the jump propose to Anna, they commit, and then carrying on with him just being a supportive boyfriend or fiance throughout this entire ordeal. Or better yet, and this is my only problem with Anna. I never thought I would have a problem with Anna, because I think she was a great character, a great co-lead with Elsa in the first film, and she had like an arc in that one. Here, Anna is useless. She seems like she could not do anything without her sister. It seems like she is just following along like a little puppy dog, in my opinion. And it's just like, man, that's just like a slap in the face to the character and what you built her up to be. And Anna is an awesome character, and it's now just like, you know, oh my god, And sure, you can have a concerned sister and everything like that, but she's following along like a little puppy dog. That's like, oh my God, my sister needs me. Oh my God, Elsa, I'm not leaving you, Elsa. Oh, completely ignoring her boyfriend for most of the film, while she's, you know, following along on her sister's coattails, while Elsa is trying to solve this kind of mystery. But in my opinion, and I'm not sure how anybody else feels, I think this should have just been Elsa's single story. It's like, you know, because you got too many people here. It's too many people that you're forced to follow with their own little things. It's such a thing as too many people. And I argue, since you now establish technically a franchise that could grow into something. You already got these mini shorts and everything like that on Disney Plus. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with if you got kids. I don't have kids, but like I've seen Disney Plus. I got Disney Plus for a reason. And I've seen all these little shorts. So clearly you're building off something. And isn't there like a TV show with Frozen? I'm pretty sure. And I think this could be a Elsa solo adventure, and then have another movie dedicated to Anna and Kristoff and Sven the reindeer. And I guess, like, I don't know, I still argue that, you know, Olaf, you don't need to get rid of the character, because our kids who love Olaf for, I guess because he's funny to them, but you know, only to that kid level, because they really sunk all the funny into this, or at least I won't say funny, they put all the comedy into this one singular character, and it's just annoying. It's not good. The only good scene he has is when he recapping to a lot of people the events of the first film, which is decent. Some people like it. I find it okay, but that's only like one credit I give to this character. But you don't need to get rid of the character all the way, but just minimize his appearance in this franchise, unless you're doing some kind of mini short animation tale. I think that's where he is relegated to, just many little short things, just long enough to be like entertaining enough. He's good in short bursts. Because Josh Gad, he's a fine actor. I just don't find him all that funny. But Anna and Kristoff should get their own film with their own little adventure, and that way you can have enough time with Kristoff, you know, doing the whole, you know, trying to figure out a proposal idea, and because he never had any friends, and him discovering to find his own thing outside of his fiance, and Anna finding something outside of being glued to the hip to her sister. And that would have been a more impressive arc for these two, relegated to their own film, and then making a third trilogy with them coming together again for another adventure. And that would have been a proper, in my opinion, a good trilogy for the Frozen franchise. Just kind of like, you know, learning essentially an origin story with these people, and then an Elsa singular movie, and then an Anna and Kristoff singular movie, and then another film. Well, it's not a trilogy, it's a quadruple G, and just, you know, a fourth film with them coming back together again. And but I get it. Each one will take, you know, quite some years, because the amount of animation involved, because the animation in the Frozen films are stellar work every time. Despite the issues I have with this film, the animation is still top tier. It is gorgeous. Anyway, uh then Elsa inadvertently unlocked these elemental spirits, or woken these elemental spirits, and it starts, like this gale force wind starts roaring towards the town, causing this, like, tremors and whatnot, and the entire city is evacuated. So Elsa realized she needs to go and figure out what's going on. So of course the band comes back together. They go on this adventure towards up north, where they find this fog nearby, these little, seems like Stonehenge type of pillars, and it's like, man, that look like something from the movie Brave, which kind of sort of makes sense, considering that this is more like a Swedish Northern European Norse Norwegian type of people here, while Brave is centered around the area for Scotland, and then fairly close together. So I guess I could give it a pass, but even though it seems like, wow, those pills are like something that you saw in the movie Brave, honestly, which I did a review of, you can check out on my channel, which another female-led character who's awesome, who's like Elsa, isn't bumbly or quirky or anything like that. She's like, steadfast, good head on her shoulders, and she just got a level of comedy enough to where she's charming. She don't need to be a stick in the mud, but she has some level of comedic, timing, but doesn't take away of her badassness. With the bow and arrow, and we get Elsa here with her ice powers. Maybe fun to see these two, like those two together. As a matter of fact, just these badass female characters who's technically warriors, if you think about it, along with Mulan, the animated Mulan, not the live action one, obviously, because these badass warrior women just coming together to fight like a force or something. I don't know, it just seems like obvious, because they're not like those princesses who are legit princesses. I'm talking about like Disney princesses that also can fight, were actually legit trained for battle. So Elsa lifted this fog with her powers, and the people who were there fighting got stuck in, I guess, in time, and they let them know that, oh, we're the daughters of the King Runard and Queen crap, I forgot the mom's name again. Iduna. So they caused a temporary truce between these soldiers and the native people. And then you see these Jotun, these giant rock creatures, because considering it's got like a Norse, Swedish, that localized area, you got Jotun, who's not ice giants, just rock giants, kind of based off of Norse mythology. Even though the scale is impressive, but they don't do nothing with them till the tail end. But then they see this fire creature, this little salamander, who's pretty much there to sell more toys. That's what we're talking about, inorganic product placing. Kind of sucks. Say what you will about Olaf, at least he serves some level of purpose, not just shoved in to make toys. the salamander is representing the element of fire. And then you got this Gale Force Wind, who's sentient, who I guess is just named Gale. So Anna and Elsa, who Anna just kind of leave, Kristoff with the native people, goes to this destroyed, abandoned cruise ship, or just like a ship, and soon discovered it's the ship that their parents was under when they were sailing to this mystical lake, the dark waters or something like that. And they go inside, and Elsa, using her powers to make some ice sculpture of the last moments in this ship. And it's like, they drowned, right? Why would you want to recreate that? It's like, do you really need to recreate that to see what really happened? Like, because I would understand if somebody gave you a lie thinking like, oh, they're still alive, but for all we knew they were missing, it was never confirmed where they died, then it would make better sense why you needed to confirm what you've probably been told differently. But everybody's pretty much been straight up like, yeah, they died. And now you pretty much, and sure, you get this little, I don't even want to call it tender moment, but it's kind of like an unrealistic moment where the father was holding on to his wife in their last moments. But it could have gone in another direction where you just see their last moments of them with horrific looks on their face as they're gasping for air, holding on to their throats. And it's like, that's an image you don't want in your freaking mind. Why would you bother? Then Elsa decides to push Anna and Olaf away while she goes on her own, which she should have just been on her own. She should have just been her solo film. Pushes them away while she goes further to figure out where this melody is coming from. And I still remember the teaser trailer for Frozen 2, where she's just on the shores trying to cross this big, ocean during the storm. And it seems like it's just, oh wow, it gets you really amped up for Frozen 2, because like, oh my god, Elsa's going to just another badass moment. She just trying to cross this massive ocean using her powers. And this is where another like awesome animation style is incredible. She's using her powers trying to get across the ocean, and she's having a tough go of it until the water spirit, this another Slavic mythological creature named the Nook, it goes by different names, like Nixie, Nix, Nakin, Nakar, or Knockin', but it's pretty much like, kind of like in most iterations, it's like a water horse. And Elsa ends up taming it, and it takes her to the lake, where the parents was initially going to, this Otohallan area, the mythical river. And this is where another impressive musical number comes into play. It's kind of like a remix of Let It Go, because it used certain lines from that original song. But then Elsa realized the mythical voice that she's hearing was the song from a song coming from her mom for some reason. But then she's I don't want to say for some reason, I think the elements are leading her to this to figure out, because you see these rock troll people show up again earlier, mentioning about, oh, there's unresolved issues in the history of Arendelle that you gotta figure out. They're the ones that set them on these kind of quests. So while Elsa's going through this memory lane with all these ice sculptures of her past, in which I kind of like this funny moment where you see like the moment where the bad guy in the previous film is like sweet talking Anna like he did, and she just like snapped her finger and crumbled the sculpture immediately. I thought that was kind of funny. But then she sees a moment where she's singing her Let It Go song and she cringes, and like many other people, I don't understand. I think the animators and the writers included this bit trying to be funny, but it just ends up not making sense in my opinion, where it's just, oh, a lot of adults back in the day got super annoyed by this song because their kids kept playing it. So, oh, let's make a joke where Anna's kind of, cringing about that song, and just doesn't make any sense for Elsa to be cringing at that song because it was her song and it was like a pivotal moment of her life. So she should not be cringing at that. She should be, looking on, with pride of that memory. That should have been one of her most happiest memories. So I did not care for that. I thought that was wrong and a slap in the face of this character at the most proudest moment of her life. But then she sees the truth that the grandfather, built this bridge, not in the solidarity of peace, but it as a plan to limit resources to these native people, so that way they were forced to come to his kingdom for certain resources they couldn't get, independently from them. All because he was essentially racist towards them because they had a more kinship to magic. And it's like, oh, it was like, like people who hate mutants. I was like, people who have magic wouldn't respect the kingdom, so we gotta get rid of them, or pretty much colonize them in a way. So he tries to assassinate the leader. They both end up falling off a cliff, which ends both of their lives, and which caused this whole conflict. And now, like, it upsets the elemental spirits, which is why there's like upheaval now, and this causes fog that not frozen, but kept these people trapped within, essentially stuck in a away from time. While everybody else, like, time went on, they're stuck there, pretty much unable to escape. But because she got so far deep into this memory, it causes like Anna for the first time feeling cold and being frozen into an ice sculpture, but not before releasing her final spell to somehow track and find Anna. I don't know how that is. Maybe because their bloodline, maybe that's it. Found Anna with Olaf and shows this sculpture of their grandfather attacking the village leader, which leaves Anna after Olaf kind of disappears, because since Elsa is not around to keep Olaf in permafrost, he ends up disappearing, which leads to people thinking like, okay, clearly Elsa is not immortal. She will get older and eventually die, which means her life is dependent on Olaf's life is dependent on Elsa's lifespan. So if she gets assassinated or just grows old and die, Olaf goes away, unless she hooks up with a dude, gets pregnant, her powers, the child gets the same powers, and that kid will carry on keeping Olaf sentient. That could work. So now Anna goes and figures out, okay, I need to, it's this bridge, is the monument to this treachery. So she goes, finds the Jotun, gets them to follow her, throws rocks at the dam, destroys it, because the it wasn't just a dam, it's just this entire city of Arendelle is essentially the true monument of the grandfather, his legacy, who was the one who betrayed everybody. And sure, you can make the argument, hey, like, these people who live there now isn't responsible for that treachery, but you did benefit from it. And of course it's already evacuated. So I was like, oh, okay, this is a great way, you know, it's a complicated thing to tackle, but it makes sense to right the wrongs of the past. You got to get rid of, like, you know, the representation of the one who did the wronging and just have the people rebuild, essentially. But no, Elsa gets unfrozen, ironically, used the horse to, you know, carry her down the river in order to stop the flood that was about to take out Arendelle. And it's like, I did not care for that. I thought, okay, it'd be a little bit more, you get so much more brownie points if you actually destroy the city. Commit to it. Because, yeah, you know, right the wrongs of the past, make things, you know, essentially even. You mean you can't, you know, have the people rebuild somewhere else, start from scratch, and pretty much not forget the past, but of course you gotta clue them in on what had happened, but it's like, let them know, like, okay, we're better than what our ancestors were, but we got to start from scratch, built on like a fresh start, because we did benefit from it. So the thing that my grandfather built has to go away. But no. And then of course Olaf gets revived, but I guess it's not that egregious as them not committing to destroying the city. Then Kristoff finally proposes to Anna, and Anna is Elsa relinquished leadership of Arendelle to Anna to lead, while she leads the Enchanted Forest. So that way they're the true bridge between these two cities, or these two locations. And pretty much that's where the movie ends. It's still good, but not as good as the first one, in my opinion. Some argue this is slightly better, but I don't know, because the fact that you don't commit to the fact that, okay, get rid of the city, there's a monument to what had transpired that people are pretty much benefiting from, but you're kind of like backtracking your the overall message that you're trying to send, because this is pretty much like, you know, I know it's like a kid's animation film, but at the same time it should show that you're growing up with the children, and as a children's story, showing like a tale about not necessarily colonization, but, you know, showing that, like, oh, this guy's prejudices cause a imbalance to the world, or this location, and he built a kingdom where future generations benefited from his children, or his sons, because his son got, you know, resources and benefits from it, and then the things that kind of expanded and grew upon, and you kind of like, okay, we gotta start fresh because we benefit from the plight of these villagers, but you don't commit to that. Also, this movie should have just been solely an Elsa story. Also, The songs need to be brought down to a minimum because it's too many, in my opinion, and sometimes they come too frequently between each other. I know it's a musical, but you gotta have some straight-laced dialogue going on without, you know, throwing another song 5 seconds later. But you know, but that still doesn't stop it from being still like a good film. So I can't really begrudge it. But that was Frozen 2. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think of Frozen 2 and its overall narrative. Because, like I said, the biggest pros is just like Elsa. Elsa is like the standout, in my opinion. And the animation still like a huge standout. That's more like, and of course, Elsa always got the biggest, I give her the biggest praises in terms of song. Those are like my 3 biggest pros for this film. And hopefully they kind of scrap the idea of making like a live action Frozen remake. Please don't do that shit. Anyway, I will see you guys soon for another Christmas movie review. So I'll see y'all later. Peace.